Welcome to the Leading Hope Podcast with Kevin Jack. Your influence will lead people somewhere, lead them towards hope. Everyone has 20 minutes to learn to become a better leader. Make it count.
Welcome to Leading Hope with Kevin Jack. I'm your host, VJ Williams, here with my friend and pastor, Kevin Jack. Thank you for joining us, taking time out of your day to become a better leader. We will release a new episode every Wednesday, so we'd love for you to subscribe, share on social media, and bring others along with you on this journey of becoming a better leader. Visit leadinghope.online to get updates and find out more about the Leading Hope community. Today we are in episode 15, and I'm going to butcher the title in just 2 seconds when I say it is Eroding Ethos. I did it, actually.
Well done.
That is awesome. So I'm excited. I know you're always excited because you bring it every week. Let's see what you got, man.
Eroding Ethos was one of those titles that, it looked great when I wrote it down because of the alliteration, but then to pronounce it is a little worse. Hey, so we're in the second week of this series on personal culture, and here's the idea within this whole series, is that companies, organizations, businesses, schools, everything has a culture to it. Culture is how it feels. The culture is the way we do the things that we do. Culture is who we are at the core. And in the same way that organizations, groups, teams, everything else has a culture to it, you have a culture to you. You have an ethos to who you are, an atmosphere of emotion, a spirit, a soul, something that is deeper than just your personality, that is deeper than just your behaviors that you carry with you into everything that you do. So in the first episode of this, on episode 14, we laid out 3 principles. We just simply said, you need to, as it comes to personal culture, the 3 things that are key is you need to know what your personal culture is, you need to know it can be changed, and you need to decide what you want your personal culture to be. Now, this is what I want to do, is I want to jump smack dab into the middle of that, because the idea in the first part, hey, you need to decide what you want your personal culture to be. My guess is most of us have a general idea, and we talk about the difference between resume virtues and eulogy virtues, what we build our resume with in terms of our talents and accomplishments versus the things that people say about us when we pass away in our eulogy. And so I think you have a general sense of what that is. Now, this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about how do you build that? How do you shape your personal culture? And this is how I see it. I want to talk first off on how we build our personal culture. And then second off, I want to talk about what destroys our personal culture. And we're going to focus far more on the second bent because that's where the danger is and that's where people miss it. And so as it gets to this idea of our ethos, what erodes our ethos? But let's jump into that first part. How do we build our personal culture? Your personal culture, your ethos, your spirit is built from 1, your values, and 2, your truths. Another difficult word to say. 1, your values, and 2, your truths. These things form your identity. The things that you believe to be true and the things that you hold to be the most important are the summation of what your identity is. Anytime anyone's talking about identity, who you are at the core, what they are talking about, they're not talking about your personality. They're talking about what you hold to be true, what you deeply believe to be true, and what you believe matters most. And so just to explain that, and I know we're taking this super complicated thing of culture and ethos and spirit, and we're trying to make it really practical. And there is a risk that we're making it too practical. But I think this is a fantastic place to start for anyone who's looking to change what that is. So I want to show how your truths and your values shape what your personal culture is. So a couple things for me. One of the things that I believe to be true, I believe everyone matters. I believe my full truth on that is that everyone is made in the image of God, and as a result of that, every single person holds inherent value regardless of their race, religion, background, accomplishments, present station in life, whatever that is. I believe everyone holds value. And so that shapes how I interact with everyone. That shapes the spirit that I bring to every environment, because I'm just because of that truth, I'm not worried about who's the most important person in the room. think everyone's the most important person in the room. I'm not worried about who can add value, get someone ahead, something like that, because I believe wholeheartedly that everyone matters within that. That shapes how I carry myself. That shapes how I act and interact in the spirit that I bring to different environments. One of my values, I value energy. Like I really do. And one of the things, I'll say it like this, like I want to be a part of whatever people are highly enthusiastic about. And I don't even care if I like it. Like if you are geeked out about something, I want to be a part of that because I think that that is just a blast. Because my value is not the thing itself. My value is the energy that comes with it. And so for me, part of how that becomes part of my personal culture is if I walk in the office or if I walk in my home and I'm dragging, I feel off. Like I don't want that to be the case because I think energy matters. And so because I hold that as a high value, that changes the spirit that I carry with me. Another one of my values, I value fun. I think fun matters. This shapes how I give messages. Like honestly, in a message, I can only be serious for so long. And sometimes I'll go a 10-minute span and I haven't made a joke. And I got to tell you, I am trying hard to keep it together because I value fun. That shapes how I'm in meetings. I want meetings to be full of laughter. I want my home with my wife and kids. I want to play games. I want to do things that are fun and interesting. And that shapes my spirit that I bring into all these environments. Another thing that I believe is true, I believe I am responsible for bringing my best. That shapes how I act. That shapes how I respond. So if you say, hey, what's my ethos? What is, if someone would describe my eulogy virtues, it is a result. It is correlated to what are my truths and what are my most deeply held values. This forms my identity. My truths and my values form my identity, and from my identity flows my ethos, flows my spirit, my personal culture. And so that's how it's formed. Let me tell you how it gets destroyed, or let me tell you how your ethos is eroded over time. Your ethos is eroded by your behaviors. When I act out of line with my truths and out of line with my values, then I diminish their impact and I become something else. I change my spirit when my behaviors are out of line with my identity and what I want it to be. And so here's the really weird thing, is I believe that at the end of the day, if we could imagine our eulogy, every single person wants positive things to be said about. Every single person. I think if we wrote that down, our list would be unique and different, but they would kind of all be headed the same direction in terms of what we're looking at. But then the weird thing is we don't behave that way. And when we behave differently, we erode how important those truths are to us. We dismantle how significant those values are in our lives. And ultimately, our behaviors become an act of self-sabotage towards the identity that we want to create and the spirit that we want to have over time. And so we want to be generous. We value generosity. We want to be known as a generous person. And then we behave in a way that is selfish. And what you're doing is you're going, I've got this thing, this spirit that I acknowledge matters most, but I'm going to dismantle that. Here's ready? Let's just step all over all the toes, including ours. Well, I'll say including mine. You can lump yourself into this category. We want to say that people matter. We value people. People are important. How often is the barrier between the people and ourselves, the people who matter to us and ourselves, our cell phone? Like, and so we say within there, hey, we want that to be a value. We want the spirit that we're known by to be a spirit of presence, that we want people to feel valued And that's the atmosphere of emotion that we carry with us. And then we keep our phones up all the time, and our behaviors erode our ethos. The thing that we want to be known by, the spirit that we want to carry with us, is eroded by self-destructive behaviors. It's an act of self-sabotage because we, in essence, become a person that we don't want to be. I value energy, and yet I stay up late, and I don't get enough sleep, and I don't eat healthy. And so the hard part of this is not simply culminating the list of, hey, this is how I want to be known, this is my identity, this is what I want to be true for me, because the truth at the end of the day is our ethos does not flow from our emotion, it does not flow from our spirit, it does not flow from our feelings, it flows from our identity. Like our spirit flows from who we are, our truths and our values, and not simply how we feel, because our truths and our values shape how we feel more than anything else. And then we act in a way that leads to a spirit that we don't want to be known by. And so the question we all need to be asking ourselves within that is first, what are the truths and values? What are the things that I hold as most important and hold as deeply true that'll shape that identity, which becomes my ethos, which becomes my personal culture? But the far more important question is, where are my behaviors eroding that ethos? Where are the things that I'm doing out of line with the spirit that I want to have and I want to be known by? And I think we could spend forever asking that question, and it's a question we always need to keep asking. And as long as it's in front of us, we can move closer towards the spirit that we want to have and that we want to be known by.
This is fantastic. This is one of those ones where it's deep self-reflection within each individual. So whoever's listening, as I am listening from my side of this room, you're going to have to really take a little bit of time and deep dive into some of these particular things. You said it right there, and this is I'm about to tell you something about yourself.
All right, let's go.
Values and truths form your identity, Kevin Jack's identity. What I know is if we believe it, our behavior will show it.
Yeah.
And something about you, you said, I'm responsible for bringing my best. And I know about you that comes from your values and your belief. Because I know that you give your best because you know you were given the best.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you know that comes from God. And that's a belief that you have, and that's why you do it, because you first received it. And that's such a powerful thing that many of us who believe Jesus is the center of our life, that's how we're able to do these things.
Yeah.
And such a powerful thing. So that's just something I took from this right away, is how does Kevin come in and give his best? Because that's what's saying, well, I want to give my best. I just don't know how.
Yeah.
Well, it's already, if you've accepted it, you have it. You've already been given it, so now you can give it.
When I believe the truths that God has a purpose for my life and that everyone matters, what it results, let's talk about it from a speaking standpoint for a second. What it results is I always play to the level of my calling and not the size of my audience.
Yeah.
And it flows, and I know, like, on the end, you're like, yeah, that's a good thing within that. But it flows from the truth. Like, so what do you hold and believe to be deeply true changes the spirit you bring to everything.
Absolutely. Someone a lot smarter than me, and I don't even know who said it, said excellent is doing the best with what I have and giving my best with what I currently possess.
Oh, I like that.
So, man, you go back to that same question. Oh, I wanna do it. Mm-hmm. I want to do it. But then are you practicing those things, the behaviors to set you up to show it? Great word today. One of the things you said one of your values is energy. So this is a question for you or for anyone, advice to someone who's a leader out there who also wants to value energy. Uh-huh. What is a practice you put in place that doesn't allow you to, or at least helps you recognize when it's not at the level it needs to be?
When the energy is not at the level that it needs to be?
Yeah. Is there a practice you've put in place that says, ooh, this isn't where I know my energy needs to be, or I'm recognizing maybe the team's energy needs to be, and you put a practice in place that lets you garner that response. It says, ooh, this isn't my ethos, I'm eroded. Maybe the atmosphere, the eroding ethos that we talk about. Hey, I said it twice right.
Oh, look at you.
Look at me.
Gold star. Gold star for
gold
this
star
episode.
for me. But that's the question. And what are some of the leadership techniques that you've placed in your life that help you recognize that the energy level is not where it needs to be?
So there's this Ralph Waldo Emerson quote. So here's the interesting thing, like, because again, the questions aren't planned.
Yep.
We're thoughtful within this, but we think a free-flowing conversation is better and far more honest when it comes to this part. Here's the truth that I deeply held in a long time ago, and it's a Ralph Waldo Emerson quote, is he says, "Nothing great was ever accomplished without enthusiasm."
Yeah.
And I just say it bluntly, and someone may say this is, I don't know, arrogant, something like that. I want to do great things.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be a part of great things. I want to be a part of things that matter. And I know and I believe it. Like, I believe it to be deeply true. Emerson said it.
Yeah.
Hey, enthusiasm is the necessary prerequisite for great things to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm always, when I'm in a meeting, I'm watching the energy.
Yeah.
When I'm giving a message, I'm watching the energy. Anything I'm doing. One of the things I read years ago when it came to daily disciplines of habits of reading and stuff like that is they say, hey, the reason why most people stop self-improvement is because they're not excited about it. And so if I accept full responsibility for my enthusiasm of my self-improvement, I ensure that I always keep getting better.
Yeah, and, going back to, I don't know who that guy is, Ralph
Waldo Emerson. He's one of the Romantic poets.
Okay, I got you.
We were way back, Veach.
Yeah, I'll have to check him out. But
you're thinking which book of the Bible did he write?
Another really good guy named Jesus.
Okay, there he goes.
I can't. So going back to this whole thing, like the beliefs and the truths that form your identity, right?
Yeah.
I can't believe Jesus, who came for me in my soul, right, doesn't want me to be great. Like, I can't not believe that just as far as my foundation. Like, I believe he wants us to be great, and that could mean a bunch of different things.
But how you define great changes everything.
Right. But I know he didn't come for me to be the opposite of great.
Yeah.
So if I set that as my standard, then I at least am attempting to be better tomorrow than I am today.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. That's not a bad thing. And that was a powerful moment for me.
I think the other work within this whole thing, and this is a whole other thing that we could jump into that would take forever, that honestly works better as a sermon series for me within this, is to go, your identity is formed from your values and your truths, and some of the things that you believe to be true aren't true. And that's why your spirit's off.
Yeah.
And so if you believe to be true that your significance is directly correlated to your level of success in your career and life, then that's going to drive your spirit in an unhealthy way. And when you're at work, you're going to be energetic and enthusiastic. And when you're at home, when you don't feel successful, you're going to be down and out. And that's not true. Like, it's a lie, but even lies shape our spirit if we hold them to be true.
That's fantastic. So we've talked about the values and truths that form our identity. We talked about how eroding ethos and self-evaluations, and basically asking that question of where are my behaviors that are eroding my ethos. So I think that's the question everyone's going to take away. What else do you want someone to take away from episode 15 today?
I'd say this. Don't sabotage your life because your behaviors aren't in line with the identity that you believe you should have. Your spirit, your ethos, your personal culture is derived from your identity, which is the culmination of your truths and your values. And you will destroy that. You will erode that. You will engage in self-sabotage if your behaviors go against your values and your truths.
That's awesome. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. Don't forget to check out leadinghope.online. You can subscribe to our newsletter. You will get information about things that are coming up before everybody else. And man, we just are so thankful for you. Again, this community that you guys have built, that you continue to share and comment and rate and review. It's been empowering. It's been encouraging. And it's so helpful to others to bring people to this community online. So we're so thankful for that. Don't forget to this week to maybe ask that question to you. We're believing the best is yet to come, and we're all doing this together, which is the powerful thing. So can't wait to see you back next week for episode 16. You guys have a great day. Take care.